Hi guys, today I will be talking about my burns as I said. So it started off with me wanting a hot water bottle. So I asked my sister to do it for me. She did it for me but it didn't feel warm enough, so I redid it, not thinking. I reboiled the kettle, poured out the water, poured the water back in, which had just been boiled, and then I had a fit. So boiled water went all over me, and it didn't hurt at first because of course I was having a fit, but all I heard from when I'd come out of it was my brother and sister saying, "Go and get Emily's mum, go and get Emily's mum." And then mum came in all panicked. She told the kids to go out the kitchen, struck off my t-shirt, and she rushed me upstairs, and she was shouting my dad's name, and my dad was just like, "What's going on?" My mum took me straight upstairs to my dad, and dad held me in the shower. Mum then phoned 999, and then after 10 minutes mum phoned them back because the ambulance hadn't arrived. They then told her that it wouldn't be there for another 2 hours, so they apologised and advised to wrap me up in cling film and to take me into hospital. So then mum and dad drove me to hospital, me screaming in the car, and then I went to A&E. When we arrived at our local hospital, my mum then ran into A&E and asked for someone to come and collect me in a wheelchair. I was then rushed in straight into A&E, into a resus, which was where all the doctors and nurses were. The nurses then put gel packs all over my burns, and I found it really difficult to stay still because it was really sore, and then they tried to give me some medication to help with the pain. So they tried in my feet because they were trying to put a line up in my arm. So then my arm didn't work. So then they tried in both of my arms, my hands and my feet, but it wasn't very successful. But then they gave me some medicine up my nose to relieve the pain, and then that's when they could get a line into my arm. I was then taken to Alder Hey by two lovely ambulance men, and they did some tests while the other was driving when I was there, and I was getting in contact, and so was my mum, with family members. And then when we got to the burns unit in Alder Hey, they then checked what my burns looked like, and then they figured that I had 2nd and 3rd degree burns. After that, I was taken into a room in the burns unit, and they then had to take off the cling film, and there were massive fat blisters all over my chest. And then what they said is that they had to scrub it. So these two nurses came in, and I was a bit worried. My parents were, panicking and everything, really scared. And then they said that this is going to hurt. And the other said, if it does, you can push yourself against me if you'd like. So I did. Luckily, I didn't cry, but my parents were crying because obviously it's horrible to see something like that. So then after that they'd scrubbed all of my blisters away and all the skin had come off, they then put me in my room, gave me some more medication, and then I slept for a good couple of hours until I woke up the next day. The next day, I then had an infection in my burns when they came to check up on me, so then they gave me some antibiotics. I had to go to theatre the next day and have my burns deep cleaned because of the infection, and they said that it was like a jet wash for the skin. A few more days later, they then decided that I was ready to go into theatre to have a skin graft, which is when it's kind of like shaving, so they take some skin off wherever. I had it off my left thigh, 2 big rectangles, and then they then put it over the skin, and that was because a 3rd layer had been, so my 3rd layer of skin had been burnt, so that was the only option that they could do. So I went down to theatre again when they took 2 large grafts, rectangles, from my left thigh and put it across my chest. After the skin graft, my leg, because obviously skin had been taken off, a really thin layer, but it's still really, really sore, and obviously my burns were sore anyways, but my graft especially was sore for a very, very long time, and when they had to change the bandages, they did hurt, but the nurses were all like, oh, it's okay if you don't want to look. And I was just like, oh, no, I want to see, because I was interested on what they'd look like from when I first saw them, from when I burnt myself with all the blisters, you know, because you like to see if you're getting better, or I found it actually really, really interesting. I also had to have another cannula put in to feed through the medicine, and it was a big needle, and they put it up my arm, and they were just like, you don't have to look if you don't want to. And I was just like, oh no, I want to look. And my dad was just like, it's okay, oh, it's okay, Emily, because my dad hates needles, absolutely hates them. He hates the dentists, he hates anything to do with needles. So then Mum and Dad swapped, and Dad was just like, it's okay, Emily, it's okay, you're doing really good. And Mum was just like, you don't have to look if you don't want to, because my dad just couldn't handle it, seeing all the needles. So then after that I had to have a couple rebandages, especially when you could see that some of the, it's kind of like watery in a way, it was soaking through the bandage, so then I had to get rebandaged a couple times, and occasionally that had to be in theatre. So I went into theatre 3 times, and one of the times I woke up and I was really scared before going into theatre, but you know, I slept for a good couple of hours afterwards, and it hurt, but I felt perfectly fine afterwards. After a week of me being in hospital, I had loads of my family members coming to see me, some 2 times, and of course I was there over Christmas time, so my mum's sisters and their partners and one of their stepdaughters, they came, and my nana, to give me some Christmas presents, and I had other presents off my uncles and my brother and my nanas, and it was so lovely for them, so considerate and so lovely for them to come, and it made me feel so happy when I saw them. It really cheered me up. Now my burns are healing really well compared to what they first looked like when I went to hospital, and even when they took off the bandages for the first time. So here I have my 2 neck lumps, I call them. So there's one down there and there's one up here, but there's like a circle, which is where the actual scarring was. I'll add on some pictures at the end of this video so you can see what it was like with me all bandaged up in hospital. And then here is the arm that they did, so you can see all the lines there, like the scarring. And then here obviously is my main one, and you can see the skin graft, and you can see the edge of it there because it goes all the way down. And then I caught myself on my arm a couple times, you can see some of the marks there. So, and then my skin graft, that's getting a lot better. It's a bit purpley at the minute, but apart from that, everything is healing really well. But like I said, I'll add on some pictures so you can see me all bandaged up when I was in hospital. But yeah, you know, at least I've learnt a lesson never ever to use kettles again, because it was really scary. I was petrified, I was screaming. I didn't think that I'd be here because, you know, at the moment it just felt so bad. And my parents, you know, they were really scared, and they were really worried for me because they love me so much. And yeah, so advice: if you have epilepsy and you've been told not to use a kettle, don't use the kettle. But yeah, I've learnt a lesson, and I won't do it again because I definitely don't want to end up in the burns unit. But I love going to see the nurses when I go for checkups. So that's it for today, and I would like to say thank you for all of my subscribers, which I was not expecting, with only 3 videos. And thank you for everyone's likes, and like I said, I'll add some pictures on, and please subscribe, share and like. And that's it for today. So my next video will be about my cluster seizures, which I have mentioned but not in depth, so that's what my next video will be about. I'll explain them a bit more for you. Okay, well, I will see you in my next video. Thanks guys, bye!